Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts. Quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners. I am joined by my partner in podcasting, Emily Graysdale. Emily, what are we talking about today?
Today we have a question.
All right, let's answer it.
My team and I have been in survival mode for too long, doing too much with too little. How do we keep going?
How do we keep going? Man, it feels like we're in this weird season where everyone is experiencing this, don't they? And I don't know what it is about it, but everybody is shorthanded. Every organization we work with is shorthanded, struggling to hire. And we work with organizations across a lot of different industries and fields. And it seems to be kind of a universal thing.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to get burned out in that time, isn't it? When the task list is too long.
There's so many factors, and you're just like, I don't know how to tackle them all.
Yeah. And so this really does become a very serious problem for organizations because often it's things that are outside of our control. And so that's really what we're saying is, hey, when we're in one of those seasons where we are in survival mode and there are factors that we can't control that are keeping us trapped here, how do we navigate that? Because as leaders, like, that's our job. And it is not always bright skies and sunny and unicorns. I don't even like unicorns. I think they're stupid. I don't know where that came from, but literally in my head I was picturing a trapper keeper. Do you remember trapper keepers?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, little segue there into nothing apparently. But this idea that we're doing too much with too little, and as a leader, we've got to get people through that. Our responsibility is to make sure they're not burning out and that we're steady. And so we've kind of created a framework for how to do this. And this is really hard to do sometimes. But I think step one is we really have to create a new definition of success.
Yeah.
When we're fully staffed, we can get X amount of things done. Whether it's I don't care what it is you do, you can get X amount done when you're fully staffed. Yeah. And so when we're not fully staffed, we can suddenly now get this much done unless we all start working harder. And that's not sustainable. And so we almost have to have these new definitions for success, because what I found is as humans, we're bad about, I'm going to keep the definition the same. I've got to still get the same amount done.
Yeah, I'll just take on these other projects and that'll be fine.
Yes, and we put that on ourselves. And as leaders, we're looking at it going, oh, we don't want them to do that. But we don't actually go communicate that to them.
Right.
And so that's
getting done.
It's getting done. So great. But that's where the burnout happens. And so as leaders, we have to redefine that and say, hey, in this season, for however long this is, and we'll get into defining that piece in a minute, here's what success looks like. Yeah. And that really is two factors. One is, here are the things that absolutely have to get done no matter what. These are the life or death, come hell or high water, non-negotiable. We're getting this done. Mm-hmm. Everything else then is, hey, this would be nice to do. We're okay if we don't for a while.
And being realistic about what those are.
Yes.
And not, no, we need to do that too. We need to do that too. Oh, do you? Like, you have to really evaluate.
And that's hard to do, right? That's hard for leaders sometimes to do. And I think we're bad about that. And so what I found is people are just naturally trying to continue to run at the same pace. Mm-hmm. It takes us as leaders stepping in and saying, hey, for this season, we don't have to. Yeah. Here are the things that must happen. Here are the things that we're going to hold with an open hand. That definition helps. The next piece is kind of creating a timeline for this season. When we don't talk about it, people assume it's always going to be this way. Mm-hmm. But to say, hey, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a time frame. It's not like, hey, in October, everything's going to be better. If it's things we can't control, we don't know that.
It's like points in. Like once this changes, then what?
Yeah. What are the milestones? I think you had actually, we were talking about this the other day, and you said milestones. I was like, that's it right there.
Yeah.
What are those milestones? And so it might be, hey, we're going to get the budget approved to hire 2 more people. Then we're going to list for those 2 people. Then we're going to go through the process of hiring.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get them trained. So we think this season is this long, but honestly it will be once all those milestones are checked.
Well, what's funny is, so where milestones comes from in my brain is babies. When you have okay, this is the teething milestone. Yep. We have to get 100%. Through the teething phase, and then we can go back to, we're not crazy every day. But then there's a new crazy every day.
But
you
that's
just have
also,
to still give yourself little
when you think about it as parents, that's the only way we survive is knowing this season will pass.
Right.
It is the same in business. It's the same in our organizations. It's the knowledge that this season will end.
Yeah.
That is what we need. And so we can't always provide the time, but we can provide the milestones. Now there's hope because we automatically go default like it's always going to be this way. And so as leaders, if we can bring clarity to say, here's what new success looks like, here is what we see as the milestones to get out of this season. And then the next piece, I think, is checking in with our people more often than usual. If you normally connect with your team once a week, it probably needs to be a couple times a week. Mm-hmm. If it's once a month, it needs to be once a week. Whatever it is, that more frequent check-in to say, hey, how are you doing with this? Give them hope, remind them of the milestones, and tell them where we're at on those. Talk about success again, because we're going to say, here's what we're defining it as. People are going to sometimes go back and go, yeah, but I want to get it all done. Mm-hmm. And so to say, how are you doing with that? How are you wrestling through this? Is it working? I think that's a big key. And so there is those more frequent check-ins, and then just constant communication. Mm-hmm. Even if it is, hey, we made no progress this week, but we still see the next milestone. We see where it is. We are going to make progress next week, but this week we didn't. Even that helps people understand what's going on.
Well, and as you talk about things and you kind of put words to things like, okay, what's important and what's not, then a week or so, a month or so down the road, you could look at that again and reevaluate and be like, okay, actually, this thing that we said was super important doesn't seem to be as important as we thought.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have the same power that we
constant
gave it.
Communication helps clarify that, right? To make adjustments as we go.
Or like we stopped doing this one thing, but that actually was important. Maybe we should put it back on the list.
Yes. And so I think this framework, having it, but then using it constantly, right? It becomes practical. So I would say, leaders, if you are in survival mode, which is a lot of us, understand what your people are experiencing and help them get through that. Help them redefine success. Give them that timeline for that season or those milestones for the season. Check in with them frequently, and then use those check-ins to communicate. Constant communication. Here's where we're at. Here's where we've been. Here's where we've come from. Here's what we're seeing ahead. That constant communication allows them to put themselves on that timeline and find hope. Okay, we are making progress. That will help your teams get through survival mode and help you get through survival mode because you need the same things they do. All right, Emily, that's a great conversation. If people want to send us their own questions about survival mode or any other aspect of leadership, where do they send those?
lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. .net. Got tripped up there.
Yes.
lab@forwardpartners.
I thought I said .com for a minute. It's not. It's .net.
Danny's like, this is where you would normally edit this out. Lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find us online on all the socials, where do they do that?
@forwardpartner.
@forwardpartner. Emily, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Danny, thank you for producing. Wilco Workspaces, thank you for partnering with us on this podcast. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.